evening. Welcome. My name is Rebecca Rother. I'm an Associate Director of Admission at Southwestern University. I am thrilled to have y'all here this evening. And we are going to get started. I'm not seeing too many folks here yet, but that's okay. We'll get started, and as people pop in, welcome you. And so first thing that we are sharing tonight, or actually I'm still not seeing anyone but myself, so I'll just hang out just a little bit longer, see who joins us in the next couple of minutes. Wonderful. Hello and welcome. My name is Rebecca Rother. I'm an admission counselor at Southwestern University located in Georgetown, Texas. I'm so thrilled that y'all are joining us this evening. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Just by coming this evening, we will be getting information from you about yourself and just some information so that we can make sure that you're in our system correctly. But you should also see a QR code on your screen this evening and with the screen share that I have up right now. If you are interested in making sure that we also have you signed up as attending a college fair through our program, you're welcome to scan that QR code and fill out any information that you care to share. If you would prefer to just keep it simple and go through StriveScan, perfectly all right. So I'm going to give it about one more minute to see if anyone else is joining us, just knowing everyone's coming from different parts of the country and different time zones, seeing if we get anyone else to come on in. Also gives you some time if you have any preemptive questions. We do have the Q&A. I'm going to share some information about Southwestern, but would also encourage you, if you're interested in anything in particular, you are welcome to put that information in that Q&A, and I would be happy to help answer those questions as we go along. I'll give it until 7:03, just because 3 is a good number. All right, per my clock, we are switching over to 7:03. So I think we'll go ahead and get started. And if anyone else joins us, then they will get to pop in as we go. But so when we start looking at Southwestern, let's see if I can get the technology to work. That's always the big question with these events, right? This is campus, just a beautiful picture of our fountain. We have several fountains on campus, so quintessential college shot here for you. The first thing that we like to do, though, is share some fast facts about who we are, what we have going on. So we are the first university in the state of Texas. We were actually founded in 1840 of one of our 4 root colleges that came together to be Southwestern University. And so we are very proud of that heritage. We have about 1,500 students just over in our undergraduate program, and we are undergraduate only. So it is entirely those 1,500 students. You'll see here an average class size of 19 and a student to faculty ratio of 12:1. And we also have the first 100% renewable energy campus in the state of Texas. So definitely proud of sustainability practices and opportunities that we have to continue to give back to the area that we find ourselves in. All right, and so a little bit about Georgetown, because you may or may not have heard of it before. We are a very fast growing city. We're actually the third fastest growing city in the country right now, just north of Austin, Texas, about 40 minutes north of downtown Austin. And we do have what we like to think, and we were voted as, the most beautiful town square in Texas. So definitely a wonderful place to hang out. It has a small town charm, but also we have your big box stores. So you'll be able to get to Target, to Chipotle, to Marshall's, and Bed Bath & Beyond and Walmart and all the things you've heard of, right? HEB for any Texans you might be in, which is our very favorite grocery store here in the state. You'll also see a lot of places that are going to be outdoor recreation. This photo that you see here, this is Blue Hole, which is one of our swimming holes in town. Definitely a lot of great spots throughout to be able to be active outside and take advantage of that beautiful Texas weather. And then, as I mentioned earlier, about 40 minutes, 28 miles straight north of Austin, which is the state capital of Texas, and definitely as it says, music capital of the world, the live music capital of the world. So lots and lots of activities, fun things to do, both in Georgetown, which is very easily accessible for our students, but also by getting into the city of Austin. And when we think about Southwestern, we really want to make sure that our students are getting an education for the 21st century. And to us, that really means that you're thinking about a flexible curriculum, that opportunity to really grow in your own idea creation, that you're thinking about multiple perspectives. And so we want to make sure that you are in fact going to be able to really go wherever the world is going to take you. We realize that things look very different for many of our students as they move forward in their careers and in their lives, and that the world is rapidly changing. And so we want to be able to continue helping you with that. And so one of the ways that we're going to do that is by helping you in your curriculum, by giving you a lot of flexibility. So at Southwestern, we do ask that every student declare a major by the end of their sophomore year. So you can come in, if you already know what major you're going to be in, fantastic, wonderful. You may jump into that right away. But if you're not entirely sure, or you'd like the opportunity to play around, you don't have to tell us again for any point during those first 2 years. We do ask that every one of our students complete general education components with us. And so general education is going to be done at any point during your 4 years. Some students may in fact choose to do that for their first 2 years in order to figure out the major. Other students say, you know what, I really want to delve deeper and figure out where I'm going to be by starting in my major and then adding general education in alongside. With us, certainly we're going to ask for a semester of the fine arts, a semester of the humanities, a semester of the natural sciences, and a semester of the social sciences, as you see here. We do also ask for 3 semesters of a second language. Our second languages that we offer are going to be French, Spanish, German, Latin, Greek, and Chinese. And we do ask for 3 semesters of the same language. So unfortunately, you can't do one of Chinese, one of Greek, and one of Latin. We also ask every student on campus to do a course in social justice. Now, the nice thing about this is that any professor can present their course as social justice courses. So you are not required necessarily to take a particular class to fulfill that, or even a particular discipline. You'll find them across the majors. And then finally, we ask each of our students to complete 2 half-semester fitness courses. So you might choose yoga or hiking. You might choose basketball or badminton. Lots of different choices for you. We just want you to stay active and be participating. And then finally, the last third of your time in class is spent in your electives. This is really giving you the space to go through and pursue whatever you're interested in. Some students might use this as a double major, major minor. Other students might take a whole bunch of unrelated courses or maybe add a pre-professional program. All of that is absolutely welcome. And then, we're also going to see that a lot of our students are participating in activities that are academically inclined, but not necessarily in the classroom. And so it would help if I showed you those statistics. I apologize. Our students have studied abroad in over 22 countries, and we certainly have a great program, our London program. So every fall we send students to London. It's probably our largest study abroad program. And then we also have 2 study away programs. So not entirely sure where y'all are coming from, but if you are coming from anywhere that is not the East Coast, you might be interested in going to the East Coast. We have 1 study away program in Washington, D.C. and 1 study away program in New York City. We also have about 75% of our students participating in community service hours, and that is something that is really important to us. It's not something that we require, it's not something that you have to do in order to graduate, but it is something that many of our students say is meaningful to their time at Southwestern. 2/3 of our students will complete an academic internship for credit. And we do have the top rated career and professional development office in the state of Texas and number 3 in the country. The Princeton Review has ranked us at there because we are really working with our students from the very beginning of their time at Southwestern. We're not necessarily going to walk in the very first day of school and say, what are you doing in 4 years when you graduate? But instead, we're going to come in and say, we are excited about your future career. What are you thinking? What do you want to do? What do you want to engage with? Where do you want to explore? And we want to help you to navigate that. And then 100% of our students will do a capstone or similar culminating project. So this gives our students the opportunity to delve deeper into their area. This will be done in your major. It will either be a research project or a literary review, a sociological study, or some other kind of study that you might do. In the fine arts, the students will do a gallery presentation or put on a production in the theater department. And so this is the piece that you take with you. When you graduate, you say, I didn't just learn, I actually put into practice. So we think that's something that is also extremely valuable. And then in addition, we are really unique in our educational approach and our philosophy of teaching on campus. So our philosophy of teaching is really a program called Paideia, which is a Greek word, kind of a funny one. And really what the Paideia philosophy is in the Paideia program is that every one of your classes is interconnected. So you are working together to really see how things relate. So hopefully you can see on the screen right now, the idea that you're going to see what is the connection between your biology and our history class, and how does computer science play into that? Where does your capstone and your racquetball class all relate back to that biology major, right? So we really do want you to take all of those areas of study that I mentioned earlier, pull them together, and your faculty are going to be spearheading you in figuring out where is the connection? So very different than many of our students' high school experiences where they've said, I have this math class, and then I have this English class, and then I have this science class, and my English teacher really doesn't care what I did in math. At Southwestern, your English teacher is going to care what you did in math, and they're going to want to help you figure out how do you create new thoughts and processes with that knowledge. And then thinking about student life. So really important to know that about 80% of our students live on campus all 4 years. So very, very much a residential program. We do require that you live on campus the first 2 years, and many of our students, as I said, continue to stay with that 80% on campus rate. Part of the reason that our students stay is because there are over 100 clubs and organizations on campus. And so if you have a club meeting at 9 or 10 p.m., it's a lot easier if you're already on campus to go and attend that. We have theater, choir, music organizations, other fine arts programs, galleries, and all of it is available and free for our students to participate in. If you are someone who wants to major in biology but participate in theater, we welcome that. If you're someone who wants to major in, say, political science and also play an instrument in the orchestra, again, totally welcome to participate in the fine arts programming. And you may just be a connoisseur of the fine arts and just want to go and see your friends participate. Perfectly okay with that as well. You'll see here we have 24 intramural sports and 20 Division III athletic sports. So certainly a very large athletic population on our campus. About 60% of students are involved in athletics when you add these together. And a fun fact, they are not letting the COVID restrictions stop the intramural sports. They are actually having a wiffle ball home run derby and a human foosball game in the next couple of weeks. So I think it's definitely something our students are looking to be involved. And then finally, you'll see that we have 10 sororities and fraternities on campus. And important to know is that about 1/3 of our students are involved in Greek life. So if you are interested in Greek life, it is certainly present at Southwestern. It is something you can do, but it by no means dominates the experience. We would welcome you again to participate, be a part of it. It is certainly something great, but you are not actually allowed to join any of those organizations until the end of your first semester on campus. So it's called a delayed rush process, and it allows you to hang out and figure out what organization might be of interest to you until your second semester or later. We have students who will wait until their second year even. And then we have our Mosaic program. So our Mosaic program is really designed for the reflection of the experiences I was just talking to you about. So there's 5 areas of development, and we want our students to really think about the fact that while you are absolutely learning a lot in the classroom at Southwestern, you are also learning a ton outside of the classroom. And so the Mosaic program offers all kinds of workshops and programming to really help you think about, what am I learning? How am I engaging? What are my experiences here, and how are they really shaping who I am? It is not a curriculum that you have to do in order to finish a program or in order to graduate, but it is absolutely something we encourage of our students to give them the space to really have that reflection and that experience. So we're going to move a little bit more into who our students are at Southwestern. What are they doing? Where are they coming from? And what are the requirements that we're looking for when you apply? So this is a great time if you have any questions about student life or academics, if you'd like to throw them into the Q&A, happy to start answering those. Also happy to wait until the end for that. But I am here to be your resource, so I hope that you will ask some questions and take advantage. So when we look at the Southwestern profile of who our students are, you'll see here we're just about 46% male, 54%, excuse me, if I could do math, that would help. 54% female on our campus. About 13% of our students come from out of the United States or outside of the state of Texas. Now, I'm not sure if y'all are Texans or not, but I will remind you, Texas is gigantic. I grew up in Maryland myself. Maryland, East Coast state, pretty small, all things considered. Texas, you can drive 14 hours from where we are and still be in Texas. So just keep in mind that our students are coming from very, very diverse backgrounds, even though their driver's license may have the same state on it. About 39% of our students are coming from underrepresented backgrounds in the higher education process. And about 17% of our students will be the first in their families to be attending college. And so important to know that there are identity groups on campus, clubs and such for students who might be coming from an underrepresented background and want to find folks who maybe identify more along the lines that they do. And also we have our Captain's Academy for anyone who is first generation to help navigate that, as it is a very different experience if you are coming from that background. Next, we will look at who our admitted students are in terms of profile of academics. You'll see about 63% of our students come from the top 25% of their graduating class, and 27% of our students are going to come from the top 10%. Now, important to know, not every high school ranks, and we are well aware of that. And we also are well aware of the fact that not every rank was created equal at every high school. When you apply to Southwestern, you will have a personal admission counselor. That person will be responsible for working with you and your family and to get to know your high school. So for example, myself, I work with our Central Texas region and also our Pacific Northwest, so with Washington and Oregon. So if you happen to come from any of those areas, yay, excited to meet you. My other colleagues are wonderful, and we are all on the website. So it's the best place to find your personal counselor, and we would be happy to answer any individual questions for you. You'll also see noted here our middle 50% for SAT and ACT. We did adopt a test optional policy in 2019, so not in response to COVID, but before. It's always been our intention to have that test optional option. And when we look at test optional, we certainly would say if you would like to not submit test scores for any reason, you didn't take the test, you couldn't get a second test, you just don't like the test, whatever it is, you are welcome to skip the test scores. But if you do choose to submit them, these are our middle 50% to give you an idea of about where our students are falling, so that you can get an idea if you have a good score and you'd like to submit it, what you might be looking at. Next is the types of applications and our deadlines. So we have 4 different applications that we accept at Southwestern. You only need to fill out one of the 4. We will take the Southwestern application, which is our own school specific. We will take the Apply Texas application, which can be used at most of the schools in the state of Texas. We will take the Coalition application, which can be used at about 200 schools across the country. And we will take the Common application, which can be used at about 900 schools across the country. We do not have preference one over the other. Please fill out whatever you were already working on or whatever feels most comfortable based on your other schools. They will all give us the information that we need. In terms of deadlines, the first one that we are going to look at is our early decision deadline. Early decision is our binding deadline. This is the one that says we are ready to be at Southwestern. It is the only place you see yourself. And if that is the case, what will happen is that the student will sign a contract. It's called the early decision agreement. Family member needs to sign that early decision agreement, and school counselor also signs that. What that early decision agreement says is I will withdraw my application from any other school if I am admitted, and I will come to Southwestern. Congratulations and welcome to the pirate family if you decide that that is the route for you and you are admitted. However, we realize that most of our students are still considering multiple options. You want a chance to think about this deeper. You want to look at financing. You really just want a few more minutes, and that is okay. Or I guess a few more months as the case were here. And so we have our early action deadline of December the 1st. Early action allows our students the opportunity to hear back early, hence that piece of the name. We promise that we will have an answer to you by March the 1st, but we do our best to get an answer out within 3 to 4 weeks after the application has completed, so after the final material has been received. So it could very well be well before that March 1st date, but sometimes we need a few extra days or months to just finish it up. And then we also have our regular decision deadline. That is our February 1st deadline. And that is going to give you the opportunity to wait a little bit longer to submit your application. This can be especially important this year for those students who maybe were hoping junior year, second semester was really when they were going to show those A's in AP classes. And then maybe your school went pass fail or shut down or something else happened. And maybe you want us to see the first semester of your senior year. So if that is the case, then you may wait until February 1st. The important thing to know with the February 1st deadline is that we have until April 1st to notify you. With both early action and regular decision, we will tell you, you must tell us, by May the 1st. So if you do wait and do the regular decision, that does condense your timeline down quite significantly because you only have 1 month to make that final decision. Again, every one of our admission counselors is here to help you. If you have any questions, you're not sure which one to apply with, please let us know. Or if you have specific questions about that, also if you want to throw it in the chat tonight, I'd be happy to help. When we look at requirements, what do we need in order to get you through the completed application so that you can get an admission decision? The very first thing of the requirements is going to be your official transcript. I'm sure this is a huge surprise to all of you, but when we look at your transcript, we are going to be looking at GPA, class rank if it is reported, but we're also taking a look at trends. So maybe freshman year was a rocky transition to high school and you got better as you went along. Maybe freshman year was great. So sophomore year, you were like, I'm going to be ambitious. I'm going to take 5 AP classes. And that was a lot as a sophomore, especially. That is okay. We are looking at all the different components. Again, we read regionally so that we get to know your high school, and that is also a part of that transcript review. Then we'll need a recommendation from your school counselor. This will help us to both understand you better, but also, again, that piece of your school itself to understand what do you have to offer, what options were there at your school, what opportunities, and especially with the class of 2021 and moving forward, what happened during the pandemic? Did you go pass fail? Did you shut down? Did you go online? Are you back yet? All of that will be helpful for us as we review your application. The next thing that we will need is your essay. I'm sure that y'all are stoked about writing college essays. I know it's everyone's favorite part, right? But in truth, it is my favorite part because it is where I get to know your story, what happened in your life that formed you to who you are today. We will take any essay topic on any of the applications, and we only require the 1 essay. So you do not need to do any additional work on that. And then finally, for required materials, either those self-reported SAT and ACT scores or a personal interview. When we look at the personal interview, that is going to give us the opportunity to get to know you a little bit deeper. So if you are not submitting test scores, we would ask you to do that interview in place of. We can do those on our campus. We are open for visits. If you would be interested in that, please check us out. However, if you're from further away or you just aren't comfortable coming out, we totally understand that as well and would welcome you to do a virtual interview. Those are also available through our website. And if you are going to report SAT or ACT scores, you may do so by downloading the student score report and emailing that in to your admission counselor. And that is something that will save you a little bit of time and a little bit of money from having to send it in from those testing agencies. Other suggested materials are going to be any other recommendations that you would like, a teacher, a coach, an employer, someone you volunteered with, someone who can give us a different perspective than we might see elsewhere. A resume is certainly something that we would encourage, even if it is not a formatted resume that you have spent time in and making beautiful, that is okay. I would highly encourage you though to make sure that you are filling out the activity section of whichever application you choose for all of your schools, because we really want to know what are you engaged with, especially if you're looking at colleges that change lives. We are going to be looking at student engagement as a large part of what we're considering, and that is something that will benefit you to share with us. And then finally, even if you are submitting SAT or ACT scores, we do also allow for the interview. And so would encourage you, if you feel like you have a story that you can tell, to sign up for one of those. We would be excited to meet with you and to get to know you deeper. And then the next thing that we will look at is the cost of attendance. And I know that this is everyone's favorite conversation. When we look at cost of attendance, we are looking at about $60,000 for the school year that we are currently in. As you'll see here, we have tuition and fees as well as room and board. We also did add in books and supplies as well as miscellaneous expenses, because we do want you to remember that there are a few expenses associated with college that are not in tuition, room, and board. But you'll see that we were named a best value and by 2 different publications, in part because we work with each of our students to make Southwestern affordable. And one of the things that we will automatically do for you is consider you for merit-based scholarship. You do not have to do any additional essays, any additional applications. Simply fill out the application for admission. Assuming that you are admitted, then we will go ahead and award you a merit scholarship. This does look certainly at your academic performance, but also, as I mentioned earlier with the resume, it's looking at extracurricular involvement, leadership, your essay, all sorts of different factors. So you'll see here about 36% of our students are falling in that $25,000 to $28,000 range. And then as you can see the other numbers here. But this is just free money for doing well in high school. It has nothing to do with family finances or anything. Also important to know, I'm actually going to go back one more slide. Sorry about that. Just to let you know here, I forgot we took out one slide just for timing, but I just wanted to share with you. We do have, you can see 28,000 above is our competitive scholarships. So if you are in the top 5% of your graduating class, then you might be eligible for our Brown Scholarship. The top 10% of our graduating class is going to be the Gary Scholarship. And if you are African American, Native American, or Hispanic, and you fall in the top 10% of your graduating class, you may be eligible for the Dixon Scholarship. If you are falling into any of those areas, then we would certainly encourage you to apply by December the 1st, and you would need to have an interview on file by February the 1st so that we can kind of get to know you a little bit better and consider you for money on top of that merit scholarship. Also, if you're interested in majoring in the fine arts or participating in music, even if it is not as a formal major, we do have the Seraphim School of Fine Arts on campus, and they have scholarships available as well. So just want to share that in case that is an interest of anyone. And then also important to know, 90% of our students do finish in 4 years. And we think that's really, really great, partly because we want you to go on and live the rest of your life, right? You have lots of years ahead of you, lots more school for some of you, lots more work to do, people to pay back, things to have done. And we always invite you back for homecoming and to celebrate with us on campus. But we'd love for you to move on after that 4-year period. And you'll see here, you're going to save just a smidge of money by actually finishing in that 4th year. And then finally, this is my information. So if there is anything that I can do for you, whether I am your personal admission counselor or not, I'll leave this up for just a little bit longer. You will see that southwestern.edu-visit. That is if you would like to set up either a virtual interview or an in-person visit to campus. And the southwestern.edu/virtual Southwestern has a lot more videos and virtual tour and different activities that may or may not be helpful for you to delve even further than what we delved into this evening. So with that in mind, we have a few more minutes together and that I would love to fill with your questions. I could probably continue talking about Southwestern for the next 45 minutes if you'd let me, but I don't know what you want to know. So if you would love to, I would love if you would pop something into the chat, the Q&A, let me know what things you need, where you're from, what's going on, anything at all. I'll be happy to hear from you. Or we can awkwardly sit in silence together, which is fine too. If that's, I'm sure some of us have gotten pretty used to that by this point, I'm sure. Awesome, great question, thank you. So a typical day at Southwestern is really going to depend. It will depend on what you participate in, but I would say most of our students, so each of our students takes 4 classes a semester. And so each of our classes is worth 4 credit hours, so 16 credits, if that means anything to you yet. For some students, that means a lot. For others, you'll get there when you get to college. And when you have that, that's typically going to mean, for many of our students, 2 classes a day, 5 days a week. Sometimes it'll change up depending on, maybe you'll have 3 days a week and 1 another day of the week, really depends. But our students are also really engaged outside of the classroom. So they will also have the opportunity to possibly hold a job on campus, do community service. Again, about 60% of our students are involved in the athletic program. So really a typical day, I don't know that I can answer for you, only because there is so many different ways that that might look. I would encourage you to go on that virtual website that you see listed on the screen right now, that's southwestern.edu/virtual Southwestern, because there are several student takeover videos that are listed on there that would give you a good view. I, surprisingly, am not a student at Southwestern at the moment. And so I go home at the end of the day. And so I'm not entirely sure exactly what they do. But I would imagine in talking with the students that I do know, a lot of activity, a lot of time, but also downtime. Our students tend to be relatively involved, but also know how to say, you know what, I need a break. I'm going to go hang out with my friends. I'm going to watch Netflix. I'm going to go to a coffee shop in town. So it really is kind of a chill place in the sense that you're not have to go every minute of every day. But we are also seeing most of our students participating in multiple activities. So hopefully that helped. Sorry if it seemed a little rambly, but it's just a tough question to answer because it really does depend on each of our students individually. And I would also add that if you would like to speak with a student one-on-one or you have specific questions, send me an email. As I said, my email is right here, or give us a call. We would be more than happy to set something up with you, either an opportunity to speak with them in a situation like Zoom or on the phone or whatever, our students are very open and excited to tell you about their lives at Southwestern. Other things that I can answer for y'all? I'm going to give you some answers to some of the questions that you aren't asking that maybe you could ask. I know we do, in a traditional year, we will travel with the other colleges that change live schools. And I'm assuming since you are here this evening that you're probably engaging with some of those other schools or at least familiar with them. And so I just want to answer probably my number one question that I get when we talk to students at those colleges that change lives presentations. And one of the biggest questions, as I said, is what makes you different, right? A lot of us look very similar on paper, which is great that there are so many options. But there's a couple of things that I think really make Southwestern unique in this category of schools. First thing, we are one of only 2 colleges that change lives in Texas. So if you would like to come hang out in Texas, if you're here already or just trying to get here, the saying is, I got here as fast as I could, even if you didn't show up right away. We are always happy to have you here. I think another thing that's really unique is that Paideia program, as I mentioned earlier. Many of the schools that you see in the colleges that change lives are also in the liberal arts and sciences tradition. And many of them are going to give you the chance to learn across the disciplines. But I think one of the things that we do really, really well is that intentionality of connection making. I'm going to let y'all in on a little secret. I actually attended a different colleges that change lives and worked for another one. So I'm a little bit of a colleges that change lives junkie. And I will say I love the other 2 institutions that I have been with, but both of them kind of let you come to those conclusions on your own. And at Southwestern, it's really an intentionality of saying, we want you to get to those conclusions. We want you to understand those connections. We want to help you, and your faculty are going to facilitate that for you. And so I think it's going to be really useful when you move forward. It's going to make it look really different in the sense that you are going to be able to say, oh, I'm in this job doing this thing that has nothing to do with what I thought it was going to have to do, but I can do it because I know how to do this, which I know is a lot of do's. And I'm sorry, that was probably not the most well-constructed sentence. But one of the other things too, that when we look at employers and what they're looking for in folks who are coming out of college, one of the number one things that we hear is that they are not looking for someone who's proficient in the software that they're using at their particular institution or their particular company. They're really more looking for someone who can be collaborative, who's creative, who can work on a team, who can think outside the box, who can learn quickly. And so that is really more of what you're going to find at Southwestern. I think that creative piece is really what stands out for us, is really that opportunity to make those connections across your discipline. So I hope that that helps you. Another thing that we didn't talk about, but that I am going to take some of my last few minutes here with you to tell you about is some of our traditions at Southwestern that make us really unique. One of the things that I love is that we have a pirate bike program. So we are the Southwestern Pirates, and we are very proud of that pirate heritage. If you come to Southwestern, your pirate joke knowledge will increase tenfold. We are very good at all of the pirate jokes. But what I can tell you is that the Pirate Bike program is a really fun program on our campus. We have about 100 bikes in our fleet. They're yellow bikes. Our colors are black and gold, black and yellow, kind of depending on who you ask. And they are just all over campus. You can hop on one. You don't need to swipe for it. You don't need to pay for it. You don't need to do anything. You just grab it. You go wherever you want with it. And it may or may not be there when you arrive back to take it back where you came from because someone else might have grabbed it. And so it is really a fun program. Another fun fact on the Pirate Bikes, their birthday is in September, the start of the program. And so we have a big Pirate Bike birthday party every year. So why would you not want a free cupcake because a bike celebrated its birthday? I think that's kind of indicative of how Southwestern is. Let's give you free food because we should. So definitely when you look at colleges, ask about the free food situation because that is a very important thing to know. How much free food can you get out of that school? Another fun tradition that we have at Southwestern that is pretty unique is our signing of the Cullen Tower. I'm going to take us back to the beginning of this presentation. I'm going to try to quickly scan us back. This is not going very well, I apologize. So we have this building on campus that's one of the original buildings. Here it is. So, oh, no, I went too far. Sorry. Oh, goodness. So this picture here that you'll see that says Southwestern 1840, that's the Cullen Tower, or the Cullen Building, excuse me. That still stands. It looks like it does in that photo, even though that photo is not contemporary. And the cool thing is that tower that you see right there on the edge of the building, you actually can walk up into that tower. And for the last 100 years, students have been signing it. And so at first it was vandalism. Now it is an intentional thing that you get to do as a senior to go up and sign your name amongst 100 years worth of Southwestern students. So it's a really, really cool tradition to show the strength of our alumni network and all of the folks who came before you. So I'm really hopeful that y'all will apply to Southwestern and maybe one day we'll see your name up on the tower. So I think with that, we have about 3 minutes left. And I know Tyler had some things that he wanted to share from the rest of the college fair. So if you have that last minute question or two, please feel free to type it in. I'd be happy to share that, to answer that. But otherwise, I'm just thrilled that y'all joined us this evening. Thank you for taking time out of your Sunday and come see us at Southwestern.
Awesome. Thanks, Rebecca.
Absolutely.
Well, I will just share my screen with one last slide. I just want to echo what Rebecca said and say thank you to the students and families for joining us tonight. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about Southwestern and the things they offer. Like Rebecca said, if you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to her. I know she would be more than happy to follow up with you on any questions that you have. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. If you don't mind taking a quick minute to fill that out, we'd really appreciate any feedback that you have. Also, don't forget, this is just one of many different sessions being offered, so be sure to check the StriveScan website where you signed up for a list of those sessions, as well as all of the session recordings. So this session, as well as all the others, are being recorded and will be available on that website within about a week or so. So again, check back there. If you have any questions, like we said, feel free to reach out to Rebecca, and just will say thanks again. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye, everyone. Good night.